Come in for
Obviously, when I get up, I favor my right, and they don't like that. And so, there you go.
You know, your comments
Yeah.
brought back some things back.
Yeah.
That pain is just weak and sweet.
Believe it or not.
What you said? Huh? Just
You should have been up there in the heat. Never me. I did a whole 4.5 of wood.
You did what?
I did a whole 4.5 of wood when I started putting it in the dump trailer.
Nah.
And I got it.
Oh, he's here.
That
Okay.
deep, and I got it twice as high.
Glad we didn't get some of the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about a doctor, a senior citizen, I'm thinking to myself, well, senior citizens.
I finally got the actual maps, because
Somebody said that the church.
Yeah, it's on the, it's for a month-long thing or something.
of course, I told her from the once I said.
I'm gonna see the kind of people that.
Others must be closed.
It was off on the book, mills and Burnett.
I'm literally having to contact
Something about the senior citizens.
You don't make translation.
I know. Yeah. He said, are they really closed? He said, are they really closed?
How you doing, sir? I'm all right. I go see you come work on Saturday. You know, actually, I was in probably either working or a lot. Matter of fact, if it was, when did it start? 8:30 in the morning. I was already in the line with the ball. Then I come home and my wife goes to the second. I come back home, she goes to the second. You know. Okay. Where's Robbie? She had went to get something, but she's on the way back.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, it's 6:30 on April the 24th. Let the City Council Grantville meeting come to order. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, it's recorded, so Robbie can go back and get the notes. All right. I don't have anything in front of me. Are there any citizens' comments regarding the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have a paper in front of me, so she probably has it, but Ms. Cody? Oh, I did have it. All right. Very good, okay.
My name is Selma Cody. I live at 214 West Grantville Road, and I'm coming before you tonight to respectfully ask you to consider removing an item listed as the first reading of ordinance 2023-13 from tonight's agenda for the following reasons. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered your request at its meeting on April 3rd. That request included far more details than this amendment does. Among other things, in the package provided to the Planning and Zoning Commission were tables that indicated manufactured and modular homes would be allowed. The amendment you are considering tonight says nothing about adding these new zoning tables. It simply amends the ordinance by adding the following text: historic mill village and high-density single-family residence of approximately 8 units per acre to the respective ordinance. In my opinion, this is not transparent with the public and is misleading. Again, I ask you to consider removing this so that the commission can reconsider it and allow the public to voice their opinion. I doubt very seriously that many families who live in the Mill Village know about this, and they have a right to know, and they also have a right to express their opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cody. And Mr. Bryant, your item will be at the end, since it's not about the agenda, okay? All right. Okay. Motion to approve the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it after deleting that item.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as is?
Can I ask a question before we do this, Mark?
Yes.
So that ordinance that she's talking about, is that the whole thing, or are we coming back with something from the planning commission after we put this zoning type in?
Well, my understanding is that the planning commission, at their last meeting, tabled the item and did not make a recommendation. And wanted additional information, wanted a map. So it would not be, I don't think it would be ready to be placed on the agenda yet, because you don't have a recommendation from the planning commission.
So we have it on the agenda. We have it on the agenda, again, as just an agenda item, nothing to be voted on tonight. Because as the requirement is, we have to go through 4 sessions, basically, to approve.
You would not be prepared to have a first reading tonight, because before that happens, under your zoning ordinance, the council has to have a public hearing, which has to be advertised before
To simply create a new zoning, we have to have a public hearing.
Yes.
Not to rezone property.
No, it's no different. It's a.
So is it a standalone public,
is it a
standalone public meeting?
It's an amendment to the zoning ordinance, and so both that item and the other item that is an amendment to the zoning ordinance, which is, the next item, 2023-14, which calls for a change to the sign ordinance, which is a portion of the zoning ordinance. Neither one of those would be right for first reading tonight.
Well, I make a motion that we take them both off and approve the balance of the agenda.
Second.
But if we're in for discussion here, I don't think the planning and zoning committee had all the information they needed. And for some reason, I'm trying to find it now. I don't have information in front of me anymore because we don't have a work session packet like we used to. So I guess I tried to print off, and I know I'm not the shortest tool in the shed up here, but I went to print off the agenda for the day, and it was 148 pages. And all I was looking for, can somebody in here tell me what was said about the Mill Village zoning change in the last work session? I don't think there was a lot said because the planning and zoning committee didn't have any information to make us a recommendation.
So the planning and zoning lacked one piece of information.
Okay, but basically going back to what I said, I would like to take off the 2 things that Mark said aren't ready to be on the agenda tonight, and then approve the balance of the agenda.
I don't see 14 on here.
It's the bottom of the page. last item on the page on the one I've got here.
Mine says 07, that's for ethics, is on this page.
I'm not sure. The agenda I've got in front of me, the last item on the first page is first reading ordinance 2023-14.
Okay. All right, so we're taking off the 2023-13 and the 2023-14 before we have. a
Mr.
public
Chairman,
hearing.
can you clarify on the sign, I mean, the planning and zoning has already made the recommendation of no.
Right.
So we were back to redo to put in the ability to do a one-time exception. So why are we removing this since it takes 4 sessions to get this done?
Because, Mayor, what is now being presented to them is different than what they considered before, so it has to go back to the planning commission again for their consideration and a recommendation.
To do a one-time
It
capability?
is an amendment to the ordinance.
Okay.
And question before that, so we don't get messed up again. Once it goes to them and they make a recommendation, we have to have a public hearing?
Then there'll be a public hearing, and that has to be advertised.
Okay, so both of these need a public hearing.
Yes.
And I would like to say, I'm not against it. I'm just not prepared to make a decision about it. Planning and zoning didn't have any information. There wasn't very much discussed about it in the work session. So
We're not making a decision on it tonight.
we were,
No, we're not.
evidently, it was on the agenda to make a
Only,
decision.
only as a continued on the agenda, no decision to be made.
Okay.
All right, so Robbie, you got it?
Motion to approve the agenda with those 2 items taken off.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let me mark over there. Okay. Approval of the minutes, city council meeting, March 27th, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. City council work session meeting minutes, April 10th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Robbie, do we have Mr. Pentecost on the phone?
Gerald?
I am here.
Okay. Decision on resolution 2023-09 accepting the fiscal year 2022 audited financial statements for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2022, presented by Gerald G. Pentecost. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All right, discussion, questions. This is where you can ask him questions.
Commissioner, I have a question. For the auditor,
Ms. Mary, would you please put the microphone in front of you?
Gerald, can you hear?
Yes.
questions for the auditor. The deficiencies in internal control, could you elaborate on that? You indicated material weaknesses or significant deficiencies may exist.
Yes, ma'am. So this falls into line with just basically standard government auditing standards that are required by the federal Yellow Book auditing standards. If you have a segregation of duties issue, which I can explain in a minute, that is just basically a standard, I guess, well, it's called a material weakness. A significant deficiency actually isn't as much as a material weakness, but that is the only finding that I had in my audit. And it's very common, and I seriously doubt that you would have any other cities of your size anywhere that would not have that. And it basically means that you would have a limited accounting staff and not enough physicians to be able to separate record keeping from the actual custody of assets. For example, you might have the same person that's involved in posting deposits as would be creating the deposits, putting the deposit slip with it, and taking it to the bank. Certainly not a concern in a city of your size. but according to federal regulations, we have to have it as a finding. Overall, I can comment that the audit was very good. We issued an unqualified opinion on it, didn't find any violations of any ordinances, laws, regulations, contracts, or anything else. I think the staff is doing a very good job, and I think that considering your circumstances, your internal controls are very good. Actually, I have always been very impressed with your purchasing controls. They're really strong. I believe I've been auditing this many years. We've never found one instance of a purchase not being properly approved by council and management in all these years. So I think you're doing a really good job. What you see there is just kind of boilerplate language that's required by the federal Yellow Book standards.
Okay. I have a question regarding the policy to pay amounts when employees separate from service with the city. The city does not have a policy to pay any amounts when employees separate from service with the city. Is that something you feel is not important?
I apologize. I may have to get you to repeat that again. I had a hard time hearing some of that.
It relates to accounting policies, and in here you're saying that the city does not have a policy to pay any amounts when employees separate from service with the city.
What page are you on?
Page 21, first paragraph.
Bear with me, let me go to that so I can remember what we're doing here. Bear with me, please. I am going to it. My goodness. I'm getting there. Okay. So you're talking about compensated absences and vacation and sick pay.
Yes, I don't know.
Yes, that is my understanding that is the policy of the city to, let's see. That's my understanding is that that governs the amount of the liability that's booked for sick pay, vacation liability that's accrued. So that's my understanding is the city's policy is to not pay those amounts when employees separate from service. And that's specifically regarding sick pay, not vacation. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question or not, but
That's a true statement in the audit.
So if an employee resigns or gets fired, we're not obligated to pay their sick pay that has accrued, only their vacation time.
Correct. And that's exactly what that says.
That's standard corporate merit.
Okay, on page 34, regarding moving revenues from utility funds to the general fund to supplement operations of the city. This is regarding transfers, receivables, and payables. Is that an acceptable accounting practice? To remove utility funds to the general fund to pay the supplement operations of the city?
yes, that is acceptable in your situation. I'll be honest with you, in recent years, I haven't seen a lot of transfer activity, but from the utilities to the general fund, But it is something that the utilities could do in order to reimburse the general fund for the overall the overhead of the entire city as a whole, and the services that are utilized by the utilities. A few years ago, the council and Mr. Al got together and actually started doing what's more of a cost allocation, or actually letting the utilities pay their portion of expenses. So most of the transfers that you see are really shifting of liabilities for expenses between funds as the services are used. So you would have common services like security, utilities, things like that, and accounting and personnel, administrative functions, and things of that nature. So there are some transfers that kind of become necessary, to balance the funds and to balance those payables out. But to truthfully, and I know Mr. Al can speak to this, but truthfully, I haven't seen a lot of transfers from the utilities to the general fund in recent years, at least the last few years.
Okay, I know the city operates a utility, several utilities, electric, gas, water, sewer, and they're not, I think it's really not acceptable to operate these systems and make a profit. So my question is, if you're operating a utility and it's to be able to have the funds to operate the utility and to give the customers the best rates that you can give them without overcharging them, how do you end up with excess funds and that enough to transfer that out and put it into the general fund to use it for something else? So that is my concern. And hopefully we will be able to have some committee meetings of the utility department so that we can look at whether or not we're giving our customers the best rates that we can give them to help them be able to afford to pay their utilities without undue stress on them financially. So my question is, the only thing you feel we need to worry about is the separation of duties. And this is not the first time this has been indicated, that we don't have adequate employees to be able to have check and balances in the department that's collecting funds and doing financial reporting. And I feel that we've just been lucky that we haven't gotten an employee in there that was not using the best of that has been able to get access to our funds or to pocket anything or to rip the city off in any way. So I feel we need to deal with that. How did management respond to your indication that the separation of duties was a significant, enough for you to list it in this audit?
If I understood your question correctly, you asked what management's response was to that finding?
Yes, please.
So their response is that they segregate the duties to the extent possible and have even incorporated an external CPA as your city accountant that is actually external to your city operations. His name's James Edgar. And it's a pretty good compensating control. He watches it, and he's external to the city, so they have added that as a mitigating control. And like I said, the other response is that you have high-level management, Mr. Al Grushaber, that pretty much reviews every transaction that goes out of there. So that's their response, is they'll segregate it where possible and practicable, but they have some mitigating factors that kind of help to make sure that the instance that you're describing doesn't happen.
Okay, I have one other question, it's on page 27. The interest rate risk. The city does not have a formal investment policy that limits investment maturities as a means of managing its exposure to fair value losses arising from increasing interest rates.
Okay. Are you asking if it does not have a formal policy, or?
Okay, you say the city does not have a formal investment policy, and I want to know why.
Well, the city limits its investments to very highly liquid CDs and things like that. They, this is another kind of standard governmental disclosure that's really a part of larger cities that have very complex investment structures, including derivative instruments, hedging, collars, rate caps, things like that. And I guess at this point, management doesn't feel like a formal investment policy is necessary since they've limited their investment activities to very simple and safe investments.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it, ma'am.
Okay, so a couple things I want to touch on. It is not the policy of a municipal utility business to be break even. It is to make a profit. The profit is to be used to bolster the general fund. So the idea that we're a no-profit business is not correct. Second, as far as investment policy, you are correct. We need an investment policy. I've stated that 3 months ago, that now that I'm reviewing all the investments, that we don't have a financial policy. And for those that, moved in later on in years, we needed one. So Ms. Higgins had pulled one up that I have been reviewing for the last 2 weeks that we will be working on in the next plan, which has specific everything from how things are paid to the standard investment policy. But I will also tell you that I also reviewed all of the investments, and we are mitigating interest rate risk very well. All right? Any other statements, questions? All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Mr. Pentecost, you are free to stay if you'd like, or you can hang up, and thank you so much for being available to us this evening.
You bet. Thank you for the opportunity to work with the city of Grantville. Looking forward to next year.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right, decision on second reading ordinance number 2023-08 to repeal ordinance number 701 adopted December 20th, 1998, City of Grantville Employee Handbook. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
No questions.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Mayor. The former handbook, I picked up a copy of the former handbook, and it had 31 pages. And the current one that's in the packet has
100 pages.
101 pages. And my question is, what are the changes? I mean, that's a lot to almost 3 times, triple it. Could the city manager give us a better description of what I know it includes a lot of other things in it. It's giving the employees 11 holidays instead of 9. I noticed that right off.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. The old policy,
Mr. Grishaber, could you put your mic in front of you?
yeah, Ms. Berry, that's incorrect. The old, outdated, City of Grantville Employee Handbook gave the employees 11 holidays. What you had was an ordinance that was difficult to amend, so it was amended by resolutions, and they gave the employees 11 holidays. There are no increases in benefits for the employees in the new Personnel Policy Handbook, which you will hopefully adopt later in this meeting. What it does, it clarifies everything and puts it all together. It adds some policies, that's true. And if you look at the table of contents, you will see that it spells out employee personnel records. That wasn't done before. You will see it spells out benefits in greater detail than was done before. You will see that it has a section on dress code and grooming. You will see it has a section on employee use of information technology resources. That was added, obviously, to get into the current environment. A mobile device policy was added. A social media policy was added. Weapons and at the workplace.
So 25 years ago, we were in a different world of technology. We were in a different world of Lord knows how many government regulations have been passed since then. All of those had to be put into the current handbook. And yeah, they added pages. But Facebook didn't exist in 1998. So we've had to add a whole lot of things that now bring it up to the year 2023. So that's why there are more pages. And we took some stuff out too.
Okay, in the previous handbook, did the employees, in the current handbook, you're stating that the mayor or city manager can establish additional supplemental personnel rules as deemed necessary. Was that in the, was that in the old one? I didn't see that.
That's in the charter, ma'am.
The mayor or city manager?
Yes.
Correct. See, the old City of Grantville employee handbook basically didn't talk about the charter, didn't reference the charter. In fact, it was nowhere to be found.
So it's just basically pulling in all of these regulations into one document.
Correct.
Pulling things from the charter and just adding it all to one document.
Correct.
If the employees have an issue with a grievance, who has the final word?
City manager or the mayor.
Okay, suppose it's not resolved at that level. What does the employee, what must they do?
There's always court.
So it doesn't come to the city council at any
No.
point?
No, ma'am.
No.
Was that in the old handbook?
It's in the charter.
That's
No.
right.
Okay, the reason why I have all these questions, because normally this type of administrative procedure would go before the administrative committee.
No, because the administrative committee cannot direct day-to-day operations of the employees and the city business of Grantville. That we've spelled out numerous times. The council does not impact day-to-day operations, and an employee handbook is a pure day-to-day operations of the city of Grantville and the employees.
I'm talking about reviewing this document would have probably gone.
But you can't make any changes.
It would come from the administrative committee to the city council instead of popping it on the city council agenda and then.
The city council cannot make changes to day-to-day operations of the city of Grantville and their employees. An employee handbook clearly identifies day-to-day operational functions, everything down to pay and all of that. Do we need to read 2.09 again, Mr. Mitchell?
I'm happy to.
Do we need to read it again?
2.09,
Yes, in the chart.
is that related to the administrative committee?
It's related to the council,
Well, I was talking about the administrative committee,
which is part of the council.
Shall I read it?
Go ahead and read it. Just read the pertinent
It
part.
should be the duty of each such committee to oversee the activities of and to establish policies for the operation of one department of the city government, provided, however, that neither the committee nor the chairman thereof shall have any authority to direct the day-to-day activities of the members of such departments of city government. Furthermore, neither the committee nor its chairman shall interfere in any way with the mayor's and city managers or the individual department heads' authority to direct the activities of the individual employees in each department of city government.
Okay?
it doesn't matter how many times you read that. You interpret it one way, and I interpret it another way. So it's a difference of opinion as what the role of the administrative committee of the council
Okay.
to review policies.
Do we have
That's
any
all
other
it's
comments or
saying.
questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Decision on second reading ordinance number,
Excuse me, sir. I think you had said at one time y'all were gonna raise hands. I don't think you did that, and I don't think Robbie got it accurate.
let's vote again,
Vote there.
please. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there's no opposed. All right. Decision on second reading ordinance number 2023-09 to amend chapter 2 of the city code of ordinances to establish guidelines for the scheduling and conducting city council committee meetings. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Second. All right, discussion.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, we just went through this
Pretty much.
pretty much. And my feeling that we do need to have our council committees meet to hash out things in our committee meetings so that when we come to the city council meeting, we can have a smooth meeting. And the questions that we have at the committee level could be answered either by staff or just within, with us getting a better understanding of items that's coming on the agenda. So I don't feel that this is necessary to shut down the city council committees. And that is what I think this item is doing.
Okay. All in favor? All opposed? You're opposing, Mr. Clark?
Yes.
So 2 for, 2 against. Aye. Motion carries. All right. Decision on second reading ordinance number 2023-10 to amend section 2632 of the Code of Ordinances to revise the penalties for littering. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Second. Any questions at all? All in favor? Motion carries. Decision on second reading ordinance number 2023-11 to amend chapter 29, article 1 of the Code of Ordinances on destruction, defacing of city property. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Second. Any discussion on this one? All in favor? First reading ordinance 2023-12, amending chapter 2, section 2-24, rules for regularly scheduled council meetings. Again, this is to correct a typo and to change that in order to get on the council meeting work session agenda, we've got to have your information by Tuesday at 12 o'clock since we are on a 4-day work schedule. We're not voting on this tonight. Any comments more on this?
I do. I have a comment. I wish that this read that if 2 or more city council members requested something to be put on the agenda, that it was put on their mandatory.
So you'd like to add an additional piece to this?
And I don't care whether it's 2 or 3. I just feel like the council should have a say in what's put on the agenda,
Okay,
and that's the only way to do
It's more
that.
than one.
right,
2 or more.
okay.
If it took 3, I don't care.
Okay,
It's
so Mr. Mitchell, can we add that language?
without jumping through a lot of hoops.
But we can add that, we don't have to start over the process, we can continue with the second reading at your next meeting.
And I understand what his purpose on that is, he and I have talked about, so it's,
Yeah, and I understand why we're at with this. I
Right.
just feel like the council should have some say in what's on the agenda.
and of course, I will continue to say, when y'all wanna do that, you gotta have
Sure,
After
stuff
that,
behind it. You
Oh,
better
sure,
have your stuff
sure.
ready.
sure.
Okay,
We'll add that, before the second reading.
okay. Next 2 items are off the agenda. Decision on Resolution 2023-07 adopting 5 principles of ethics approved by the GMA Board and agreed upon by the City of Council, Mayor, and City of Grantville, Mayor, and City Council. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
second,
Any discussion? Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Okay. Decision on Resolution 2023-08, adopting the 2023 City of Grantville Personnel Policies attached as Exhibit A and incorporated herein as fully as if set forth verbatim. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
second,
Any more discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Motion passes. Decision on Resolution 2023-10, appointing voting delegate and alternate for the Municipal Gas Authority of Georgia's annual election. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
second,
Any discussion? You all are aware that I'm the delegate, and that if I'm not available, she is the delegate. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Discussion on recommendation for processing volunteers for boards, advisory committees.
Okay, in light of the assignment that was given at the last council meeting, I checked with the 2 members of the administrative committee to see if they'd be available to meet on this Wednesday, April 26th. And this is a special meeting with 1 item on the agenda for processing, recommendations for processing volunteers for boards and advisory committees. So, already started to put together some suggestions. I've spoken with Ms. Cody. You asked us to work with her, so she'll has agreed to meet, and I just want to give you a status report of where we're at. We want to try to move forward, but we want to come together as a group, not as one person making suggestions, but as a committee. So that's Wednesday, April the 26th at 6:30. It's a special meeting of the administrative committee.
question. So with what we just voted on tonight, doesn't that have to be referred by the council?
That was referred by the last meeting, wasn't it, for us to come together with some recommendations?
It was referred by the mayor, I think.
Effectively, we've now changed the ordinance.
It was referred to you and Ms. Cody originally, so,
I think that under the ordinance that you just passed this evening, anything that would go to a committee meeting would have to be voted on and referred by the entire council.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor of this moving to the administrative committee?
Aye.
I have a question. I wasn't ready to answer this
Okay,
question.
you're right, didn't ask for discussion.
So are you planning for us to meet this time and we have stuff to look at and make a recommendation to come back to the council? I don't want to have an ongoing thing, is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say don't do the work, but are we ready to have this meeting is my question. Do we have enough information from you and Ms. Cody brainstorming to schedule this meeting for Wednesday?
I'd like to bring my recommendations and suggestions. Ms. Cody has some, and, you know, 2 council members, I'm sure you've got some ideas on how we can better treatment and processing of our volunteers. So we'll all come and meet, and whatever we come up with, we'll finalize it into a recommendation and present it to the city council.
At the work session, so we're ready to have our meeting, come up with a suggestion and present it to the work session in May. You feel like you got enough documentation is my question.
Yes, I think we can do this. I think we
Okay.
can do this.
All right, now.
I have a question. When this was brought up in the work session, it seemed to be that it was gonna be pretty involved.
It's about 200 hours of work.
Okay, well,
Well, that was
I
my
don't
question.
think that I appreciate that. I'm following up on that because the administrative committee meeting is, we referred it to that, but are we gonna have, or whoever's on the administrative committee, everything we need there to make a recommendation to the work session?
Well, now, you're not on the administrative.
I know, but I don't want anybody, I'm with Casey. We've done all this work to prevent all these ongoing committees. And I'm just wanting to make sure that if there's a meeting, there's information, enough information to make a decision to move on with.
So from that meeting, are you ready then to present your full plan to the
Or
council?
we can make our report. If we feel like we need to have another meeting, or we can make our report. We can come together, you know, just sketch it out, draft it out, and come back with a status report. Do as much as we can. So I don't think it's gonna take, what do you say, 100 hours? You know.
Easily 100 hours of work, 200. That's what it would take me if I had to do this.
Yeah, well, we're not reinventing the wheel because other cities have done this. They do have handbooks and procedures, how they process volunteers. So we could come back with a, you know, a boilerplate from another city that, hey, this fits us too. So I think we could do the best we can, Mayor.
Okay? Any other questions, discussion?
Guess we'll see how this goes.
All right, you got to vote on it. All in favor? Okay. Mr. Greashaver, announcements.
Yes, sir, thank you. The 2023 Gas Authority annual election vote will take place on Friday, May the 5th, 2023, 10:30 a.m. The mayor is our voting delegate, and in his absence, the alternate voting delegate is the mayor pro tem. City Hall continues to work Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. The City Hall lobby will be open for walk-in service Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5 p.m. Police Department operations will not be affected. For emergencies, dial 911. The Senior Activity Center will be open their normal hours Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. Reminder, download the Go Grantville mobile app to your smartphone to receive traffic alerts, citizen alerts, and notifications from the City of Grantville Police Department, Public Works, Utilities, Administration, and soon-to-be Recreation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Greashaver.
Yes, sir.
All right, citizens' comments, Mr. Bryan.
Evening, Council. I'm Wendell Bryant. I live at 156 Arnold Street. I have a question. Do y'all have a city ordinance about noise ordinance? I brought this to Ms.
Yes, we did.
Okay, because we have a lot of people down, not on my street, but below on Grantville. And I'm constantly having to call the police, and they do their job. They go out there, quieten them down, but the people start right back up as soon as the police leave. And I'm not the only one, that I get calls from other neighbors wondering, what can we do about it? And I was just wondering, what is the policy for noise ordinance? Is it for weekends? Because this thing, people for showing up at parties, they start at 5 o'clock and goes till Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and up till midnight Sunday night, and then they shut down. But I constantly have to call the police. And, you know, I figured that's the reason why I've been trying to get up here for months, to see if y'all did have an ordinance or not, because people like to get sleep at a decent hour and not be awakened by loud music or people driving by up and down the road with blaring radios. And I was just curious about the ordinance on noise ordinance.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't know if there's a time specific. Chief, do we have a time specific that parties are to be shut down?
We enforce it on weekdays around 9 o'clock and on the weekends at midnight.
Okay, so there's your answer, midnight.
And if it goes on after midnight, just call the police, huh?
Technically, the police are supposed to shut them down after midnight.
Okay, I appreciate that, thank you.
Okay. All right. Mr. Wickhauser.
I just want to thank everybody for coming. And I guess that's all, probably all I can say. Thank you.
Ms. Evans.
Just the same thing, thank you for taking your time to come out and support your city and be involved. We hope to see you again next time.
Mr. Clark.
And that'll come up.
Okay. Ms. Berry.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. With the 4-day work week for the city employees, I would just like to request a different place where I can pick up my packet, where it could be left either at the police department or the senior center. That will be open Monday through Friday. So is there a location where we want to pick up our packet on Friday as we normally do?
Can't you pick it up Thursday? It's ready Thursday.
Well, I normally pick, if I get here after 5, that's a problem if I don't get off work. But I'm just wondering if there's another location where we could pick it up.
Well,
That's more,
Ms. Higgins and I will talk about it and let you know. And Mr. Grecian.
okay, and the status of the supervisor, hiring the supervisor, we haven't heard anything about that. For the Parks and Recreation supervisor.
We have 2 applicants. We'll be setting up interviews this week.
Well, this week, okay. The use of our facilities, I've already talked to the city manager about that, and with the summertime coming up and people wanting to do different, graduation parties and different celebrations, our facilities, whether or not there's a way that we can still use our facilities, I'm saying that the facilities belong to the community, and if we can use them, we're just custodians of it. We're supposed to make them accessible to the community to use. And we're going to shut down our programs and not use them, but as far as the community using them, is that a possibility?
So one of the issues that we are extremely suffering from is we are so low on head count that literally to have someone go clean it or literally to have someone open and close it at night requires that we ask a person who worked 8-10 hours that day to go overtime at 9-10 o'clock at night, get up, leave their family, and go relock it up. And right now, we deem a lot of that we just cannot manage. So we are actively trying to hire people, and this is our issue, because it was believed to keep saving tax dollars to not hire the proper amount of people that we're now at this point.
Well, as far as our facilities, couldn't we contract that out to have a person to open it,
You
person to
know,
clean it and close it?
cleaning
We're
is
charging
one
a
thing, but
fee.
they can't open and close it, no.
We're charging a fee from the organizations, right? So we should charge them whatever it costs for, to have somebody clean it, to have somebody open it.
Okay, then we're right back to where we were, $200 a month to clean, and we're gonna start charging probably $40 an hour, because that's what it's gonna require now. And that now becomes too much cost for anybody who wanna rent it. I mean, I'm sorry, folks, I apologize, but you know, when you only have 5 public works workers, and they're busy with sludge ponds, cutting grass, fixing pipes, and then you ask them at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night to leave their family and go lock up a facility after a party, or even later, we're just not gonna do that. So until we can get this figured out as to how we support these.
We're talking about two different things, Mayor. I'm talking about a contractor. I'm not talking about an employee that we're paying fringe benefits to. I'm talking about, it could be a janitor. It's a contract. Okay, the facility's been rented, we charge a fee, and it should include enough to pay that contractor to come in there, open it up, you know, how long does that take? Open it up, then close it, and clean up whatever's in there. That's a custodial thing, and that's a contractor. We're not paying them, you know what I'm saying, benefits. It just,
Answer the question for us.
yeah, please.
We'd be happy to do that, but the rental is $10 an hour. That's the rental fee. That does not pay for a contracted janitorial individual. So, we have a choice. We can raise our rental fees to cover our costs, or we can wait till we have adequate personnel to staff them. Either one. It's a matter of a prior commission council decision to lower the rental fee. Then we put on code locks to save the keys. They were destroyed. The lock in the door handle on Post Street was removed. So, we are paying for vandalism, we have to pay employees overtime, and the city council has not felt it appropriate to raise the rental rates. So, we are spending taxpayer dollars for individuals to rent the facilities, and unfortunately, they don't take care of them. Now, the alternatives are the pavilions. We have wonderful pavilions, 2 of them, in Post Street Park and in Griffin Street Park Complex. Beautiful pavilions. So we have outdoor activities.
Okay.
They don't cost anything.
I mean, have you ever done a cost analysis of having a contractor come in, open up, come back, close up? You know, someone that you could, that's bonded, that you can give the, you know, have them open it and close it so that the facilities could be used, or even clean up the restrooms or the kitchen area.
Absolutely. That's what I'm telling you.
A contractor.
We've done that.
And
The minimum,
how much?
$200. And you're getting $40 rent for 4 hours, then you're going to pay that contractor $200 at a minimum. But that's okay. It's taxpayer dollars to appease an individual. Help me out.
Yeah.
Give me a contractor that will pay. I mean, I need help.
A custodian. I'll refer some people to you I'll refer some people to you.
That'd be
And I
great.
think people that want to use a facility and it's convenient right here in their community, and the people that are coming from this community, I'm sure if they can see where it's going, this is what it's going to cost us for a custodian and for the open and close, will you pay this? Come back with a proposal, that's all I'm saying, so we can.
Okay, we already have it on the agenda to talk about this week, to try to get this thing reopened.
Good.
We already were gonna go through different means, and it might mean that we have to charge more.
Yeah.
We recognize that. Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Is that it?
Oh, yes.
You done?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
done.
Mr. Mitchell, any comments?
No, sir.
Mr. Risha, none. Ms. Higgins?
You took care of it.
Nothing? Okay. I just want to give a few statuses. So just kind of an FYI, and this is a corporate thing, and I won't go into the whole story as I'll tell it, but our meter project has a name, we call it Project Telstar. So I want to give you a status on Project Telstar. We're about a week and a half, 2 weeks away from the initial towers, radio towers going up, one at Bexley Road, one on the water tower back here. We're already identifying the first set of test houses. One will be mine, to be able to put the system in place. We're probably 6 weeks away from deploying the first meters to run tests on. So pretty much ahead of schedule in my view of it. So that's that update. We ran into the grant folks for the freight depot at a meeting this week. They just had a few more questions. We never know what it's going to happen, but it's looking very good that we're going to get that money and start working on the freight depot. That's positive. I want to thank the police. I want to thank the Kiwanis and all the volunteers for this past Saturday. I think we had a pretty good day. I want a little higher turnout on the race, but we were competing with Noonan. And we had Mr. Bill McKenzie down here talking to the citizens, and then we had Xfinity Comcast with food trucks and bounce houses, and they had a steady stream of people signing up for service. So that was a plus, so I want to thank all those organizations for supporting. And then this is a personal one for me. All of you all see different aspects of the people who work down here at City Hall, and I read things that I'm not very happy with from the citizens saying about these people. I want to recognize Robbie, and I want to recognize Betty Ann, who is the Assistant City Clerk. You all will not understand the amount of hours they put in on this employee handbook, late into the evenings, to get it done so it would be done in time. And of course, Mr. Grishaber and I worked on it too, but those two put in incredible amounts of hours and effort, and I just want that recognized by the city. And as a last, just thank you all for coming out. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Hey, Miss Selma, how are you?
I know the lady was sitting here, she left her phone.
Oh, it's,
Oh, left that,
your phone.
you left your phone.
Thank you.
Hey there.
I had known them along, they was in my 4-year-old class together, so.
What the head lady is gonna be here today.
This is,